Hey guys, 大家好. My name is Ariel Megleboff. I am the founder and director of the Emotional Abuse Discussion, or Team TEED, as we like to call ourselves. It kind of began as a podcast, and before that, it began as me volunteering for domestic violence helplines. And, I'm a survivor myself. I experienced a lot of domestic violence and a lot of emotional abuse growing up. The first thing I did was make this team that was majority people of color, that reflected the kind of people like me that I didn't really see having the kind of resources necessary to heal, that addressed the cultural barriers that really affect how we as survivors experience violence. We're basically creating the tools and resources that we wanted as survivors and trying to connect with people that we see are going through similar things that we did, because we know how hard it is, not just as people, but as people of color, as queer people of color. I think for me, that's where I found healing happened the most, is when I found that network and people who really could validate and understand me. The show really came together out of this desire to talk about the normalization of violence against women, especially women of color, while combining a lot of our cultures, since we at TEED are majority people of color and LGBTQ+. We chose for October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, to do a special performance called The Horror at Home. And in this show, we have 10 different ghosts from all around the world, Asian, Southeast Asian, and El Salvadorian culture, told by actors of color.
Hi, I'm Sameda. I'm 15 years old, and I'm a makeup artist for Home of Horrors. I've never really done something outside of my school production, so this has been a really cool opportunity, and it's really fun working with people from all different ages and different backgrounds and how they work, and it's so fun to see them on stage and interact with them, and I find that this has been a really cool opportunity for me.
Hi, I'm Antonieta Carpio. My pronouns are she, her, ella. I do a lot of work in the Seattle area right now as a designer, an actor, or a production manager, stage manager. And I was really excited to find out about this because of the association it has and its heart center, being based in emotional abuse. There's so much to talk about when we talk about emotional abuse, whether it be financial and gaslighting or the things you hear a lot of sexual assault and domestic violence. So when finding these stories that villainized femme-presenting villains, and you start to discover their backstories, it's so reflective to things that still happen today. That's why this is so important to me. I have a sexual assault story of my own. I have heart healing and emotional abuse, childhood trauma, and it's so relative to it's relative and it's relatable, unfortunately, and it's being disguised as entertainment. But if you really start to think about why these things came into existence, you maybe would find yourself thinking about your neighbors and the people that you know and everyone else's backstory, and how this is 1 in 4 BIPOC, indigenous folks experience emotional abuse. It's common.